Hey everyone, and welcome. We're going to dive into a word that, for many of us, is a huge part of our weekly routine: worship. But what does it really, truly mean? I think you'll find it's so much more than just a Sunday morning thing. It's something that can literally shape our entire lives. So let me just ask you, when you hear that word worship, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's singing songs in church, maybe with our hands raised. And, that is absolutely a beautiful, powerful form of worship. But what we're going to see is that the biblical picture is so much bigger. It's designed to weave itself into every single part of our lives. All right, to really get to the heart of what worship is, we have to go back to the source. We've got to look at the original words used in the Bible. And trust me, the words themselves tell a pretty amazing story. What's so fascinating is how physical it was at the start. In the Old Testament, the main Hebrew words for worship, shahah and sagad, they both point to a physical action, literally bowing down, getting on your face before someone. So it wasn't really about music, not at its core. It was a posture of submission. It was an action that said, "You are great, and I am small before you." And this idea doesn't just stop at the end of the Old Testament. It carries right on through to the New. The big Greek word is proskuneo. And guess what? It means the exact same thing: to fall down in homage, to show reverence. So you've got this consistent thread across the entire Bible that the foundation of worship is a posture of humility and awe before God. And this brings us to a really crucial point. Worship isn't something we just drum up on our own. It's a response. It starts when we have a genuine encounter with God, when we catch a glimpse of His goodness, or we see His power at work. Worship, then, is just the natural overflow of that moment. It's the awe, the reverence, the gratitude bubbling up and spilling out of us. But then Jesus comes onto the scene, and He introduces this absolutely radical shift. He takes the focus of worship from a physical place and puts it onto a personal posture. And this all happens during this incredible conversation at a well. So the scene is set in John chapter 4. Jesus is tired, he's sitting by a well, and a Samaritan woman comes to get water. Now, for him to talk to her was a huge cultural no-no, but he does it anyway. And this one conversation would end up changing not just her life, but our entire understanding of worship forever. So she brings up the biggest religious debate of the day. She says, "Look, my people worship on this mountain, but you Jews say the only right place is in Jerusalem. Who's right?" Do you see how her question is all about the where? She completely connects worship to a physical spot on a map. And Jesus's answer is it's revolutionary. He basically tells her, you're asking the wrong question. The where isn't the point anymore. He says, a time is coming, in fact, it's already here, when true worshipers are going to worship the Father in spirit and in truth. He completely shifts the focus from a location to a condition of the heart. So what does that even mean, in spirit and truth? Well, to worship in spirit means it's not about a building anymore. It's internal, it's got to be authentic, and it can happen absolutely anywhere. And worshiping in truth? Well, that means our worship has to be centered on the one who actually is truth, Jesus Himself. He's the only way to the Father. Okay, so if worship isn't just about a place, and it's all about our spirit and the truth, what does that actually look like on a Monday morning at the office, or at home with our families? Well, for that answer, we've got to turn to the Apostle Paul. Paul gives us this incredible, practical answer in Romans chapter 12. He urges us, he begs us to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice. And then he says, this is your true and proper worship. Just think about that for a second. Our whole lives, our actions, our work, our very bodies can be one continuous act of worship to God. So let's break that down. What does this living sacrifice really mean? First, it's a living sacrifice. That means it's an active daily choice we make in how we work, how we love people, how we serve. Second, it's holy. That just means being set apart for God's purposes, living a little differently than the world around us. And finally, it's acceptable to God. That means giving Him our absolute best, not just our leftovers, in everything we do. But how is that even possible? I mean, that sounds exhausting, right? It's not about just trying harder or gritting our teeth. Paul says the change has to start on the inside. He says we are transformed by the renewal of your mind. When God changes how we think, our actions can't help but follow. And that's when our whole life starts to look like an offering. So we've seen that worship is a response, it's about our spirit, and it's a whole way of life. But, so what? What's the payoff? Why does living this way actually matter in the long run? Well, the first huge impact is that it completely reorients our lives. It's like a compass. When our daily life becomes an act of worship, it pulls our focus away from all the temporary stuff, all the problems, and it fixes our gaze back on God. It just draws us closer to Him and helps us see what truly, eternally matters. And ultimately, this lifestyle of worship, it has the power to completely transform us from the inside out. As we offer ourselves to God day by day, moment by moment, we start to understand what His will actually is for us, what is good and pleasing and perfect. Real purpose, true purpose, is found right there in that place of daily surrender. So as we finish up, the question really has to become personal. I want you to look at your week ahead, your job, your family, your to-do list. How will you offer your spiritual worship? How can you turn the ordinary, mundane moments of your life into an extraordinary offering to God?